yeah, we're just gonna watch some more videos and we want to talk to people, so.
I've had for the longest time, and I just thought it would go really nice with these. So yeah, still need to decorate some more. I have a whole bunch of stuff, and I'll show you guys once everything is fully decorated, but this is the start.
So, we're just watching some YouTube videos, so look at this.
That was fast.
This guy got an traumatic brain injury from a car accident, and his wife is still with him.
Yeah, which lets him speak better.
His wife is still with him, but I feel a very awkward vibe from her. She seems like really demeaning. She's kind of like,
That's right. So YouTube has been really good. Doing YouTube videos has been really good for Lee. Talks more and has a different vocabulary. Yeah, talks way more than he usually does when we're doing these videos, which is really interesting to me. It makes you happy. It makes me happy. Yeah. Aw, likewise, sweetie.
like I feel bad, but like,
Here are the top questions that I
just
get about how to create cinematic videos. What camera should I buy? What lenses should I use and when? What are the best camera settings for that cinematic look? How do I create smooth cinematic movements? How do I create depth in my images? How do I create cinematic lighting using artificial or natural lighting situations? What camera angles should I shoot from? How do I keep my subject in focus while moving? How can I become a better storyteller? Where can I find cinematic music to edit to? How do I create cinematic color grades without using LUTs? All of these questions and many more will be answered in my free 1-hour filmmaking training, where I'll be sharing not only how to create content that has landed me clients like Hyundai, LG, and Canon, but also how those video skills have helped me build a YouTube channel of over 1 million subscribers. And I'll be sharing these insights with you for free. Yes, it's actually free. What's the catch? I make an offer at the end of the training for those who want to learn more about the full course. You don't have to join the paid course, but if you find the free training valuable, I'd absolutely love to mentor you and help you grow your business, like I've already done with hundreds of my students that have turned their passion of filmmaking into a full-time job after going through the program. So whether you're a complete
dude,
beginner
did you
trying to
see
figure
that?
out where to start, or someone who already runs their own business but is struggling to land clients, this training has valuable insights for
All right,
everyone.
fine. Yo, did you see that? Did you see that like front cam, far away cam thing? Oh my god, the front cam be playing. Okay, I want to see the. Camera settings. Understand focal length and use which lenses. Did you see the face? How it changed from like far away to like, yo, this is why the front cam be playing me. Oh my god. Yes, be my best friend for sure. Let's be best friends forever and always. We're gonna watch some videos. I wanna see the lens. I wanna watch this webinar. Okay, like, fine. Value packed 1-hour training. I'm gonna add.
The filming and editing tips that I'll be teaching today are ones that my team and I have learned and applied over the past 8 years of experience that have led us to land big name clients like Hyundai, LG, Canon, Adobe, and many more. Also have helped us build a YouTube channel of over 1 million subscribers and has allowed us to travel all over the world. So whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or even a pro, we're confident that you'll walk away today with actionable steps that you can take immediately to improve your video skills and or the marketing and advertising efforts in your own business. And make sure to watch till the end, because after the 10 secrets, as a bonus, I'll be sharing my journey of how I got started and the 6 steps that I took to go from 0 to full time. And I'll also be offering an exclusive discount for you to join the full course if you're interested in learning more beyond just this free 1 hour. But without further ado, let's now dive into my top 10 secrets to creating professional cinematic videos. Okay, secret number 1 is buying the right gear. Or at least this used to be the first secret I would talk about in this 1-hour training, but I firmly believe that it's not the gear that makes the video great, but how you actually use the gear. So we're going to talk about gear at the very end of this training in the Q&A, so stick around for that if you want to hear all my gear recommendations. But let's jump straight into our next secret, which is the new #1 secret: camera settings. No matter what camera you have, an iPhone, a DSLR, a RED, in order to achieve cinematic results, you're going to have to learn how to dial in your camera settings. So here's some of the most important settings to be aware of to achieve that professional cinematic look. First and foremost is to shoot at 24 frames per second. Trust me, people, this is what they shoot Hollywood films at, and this is what your eye is used to seeing when it comes to high quality films. The reason is because it gives you a certain motion blur that is easy on the eyes and makes it feel more like a movie. A big rookie mistake is to shoot at 30 frames per second because it looks smoother, but when you shoot at 30 frames per second, it's going to make it look more like a soap opera or news broadcast or a home video. There are some times that I do shoot higher frame rates, but that's when I plan on slowing it down to 24 frames in post. For example, if I shoot 60 frames, I would convert that to 24 frames in the editing room, and that's
Damn.
what creates slow motion. So 60 frames per second or higher when I know I'm going to be creating slow motion in post, and I shoot 24 frames per second when I just want real time and I know I won't be slowing it down in post. Your next important camera setting
Wow.
is picture profile. This completely depends on
Hey.
what brand of camera you use, and we have recommended picture profiles for different brands of cameras depending on the look you want. All that can be found inside the paid course, but since Canon cameras are most widely used and what I personally use most, here's a look at my preferred Canon picture profile that I shoot a lot of my video content in. I choose a standard profile with sharpness turned all the way down to 0, my contrast turned down 2 or 3, saturation at 0, and color tone at 0. These settings will give you beautiful, vibrant, straight out of camera colors that don't require much work in post. Maybe just add a little contrast. Sometimes I'll throw on a LUT to give it a look, but that's about it. I've actually built a custom Sony picture profile that matches this Canon color profile, but it's a bit more complex to set up. Again, full video on all these different profiles in the course.
Okay.
Well, that's the profile I use most because it requires very little time in post, so I can turn my videos around really quick, but there are times that I want more flexibility in post to create certain looks, and I want to preserve more dynamic range, like if I'm shooting high-end
feel like I'm,
commercials
like,
or
not,
something.
like-
So in those situations,
I'm not
I'll
talking to
usually
you guys,
shoot in
which is
flatter
sad, but,
profiles
like,
RAW or log. Personally,
you guys
though, I wouldn't
listening?
recommend shooting in log if your camera only shoots 8-bit color depth, as that will be a lot harder to recover colors because there's not enough data to work with. So I only shoot in log if my camera can shoot at least 10-bit color depth. So check your camera to see if you can shoot in 10-bit before choosing to shoot in log, or else you may find that your image starts to fall apart in post as you try and bring back those colors. And we'll talk more about color grading in later tips, but point is, if you're new to color grading and or don't want to spend a lot of time in post, I recommend using the profile that looks good straight out of camera, like the one I just showed you. But moving on now to our next setting is white balance. I highly discourage shooting anything in auto. Learn how to use your manual settings. We won't go into it too much in depth on this one, but as a rule of thumb, when you're outdoors with direct sunlight, you usually want to be between 5200 and 6000 Kelvin, depending on the time of day. And if you're
Holy fuck.
indoors using only artificial lighting, you usually want to be between about 3000 and 4000 Kelvin, depending on the
Yo,
lights
I
in
gotta-
that room. But simply put, the main goal with setting your white balance is to make your whites look white. So find something in your image that's white and adjust your color temperature until those whites look white and not too cool or not too warm. Another auto
Wow.
setting to avoid is auto ISO. Here you see 3 photos, each with a different exposure. Oftentimes, if you use auto ISO, it will either expose for the sky and underexpose everything else, or it will expose for the darkest part of your image and overexpose the sky. But if you manually expose, you can decide your exact exposure and choose somewhere in the middle to make sure your subject is exposed correctly. And when choosing your exposure, use your histogram, which is this graph that reads the exposure of your image and tells you whether it's underexposed, which will put all the information over here on the left, or whether it's overexposed, which will put all of your information over here on the right. You want all of your information to sit somewhere in the middle and is spread out evenly throughout your histogram rather than bunched up on one of the two sides. Most rookies will tend to overexpose their image, so try and keep that info from hugging the right side of your histogram. This will help your images from looking novice. Now, there's other more advanced tools we talk about in the course
sweet,
that you can
19.
use for nailing that exposure and getting skin tones at the right exposure, but that's an in-depth topic as well. Just know there's lots of tools you can use to help get the right exposure every time. But moving on to our last setting we'll talk about here is shutter speed. As a rule of thumb, you want to make sure your shutter speed is twice your frame rate. So when shooting in 24 frames per second, you'll want a shutter speed at 150. This will
Damn,
give you
look
the
at
most
that
natural
noise.
motion blur that your eyes are used to seeing in real life. And we'll talk about aperture more in depth in another secret, but in order to get both your shutter speed and your aperture as low as possible, which will allow you to get that nice blurry background blur look. You'll need to use an ND filter or polarizer. I use an ND polarizer combo made by Polar Pro that costs around $200. And yes, I use Polar Pro filters for all my drones as well. But the reason I like polarizer NDs over just standard
This guy's
NDs is because
got a lot of good
polarizers cut down
information.
the sun's reflection, making colors pop more and giving the appearance of increased dynamic range as it softens the highlights from sun reflection. So when shooting outdoors, I'm often using my ND polarizers. But point is, learn how to use manual settings and exposure tools to achieve correctly exposed shots, as all of those settings combine to give your image a cinematic professional look. But let's move on now to cinematic secret number 2, which is lighting. Lighting is one of the most important elements
This
to
is
great
really good.
cinematography and
I'm
probably
pretty
the
good.
least
How about you?
understood and least appreciated among beginners. Once you have your camera settings dialed in, I'd say the next step you should take when filming a
Dead
scene is to
inside?
make sure
Oh
you
no.
have good lighting. Here's an example
Aw.
of how much an image can change
Be my
just by
friend.
changing the lighting. And one of the biggest reasons why the image on the right looks better is because my lighting in that image creates depth, which is a secret we'll talk about later. But here's a few reasons why the lighting in this image creates more depth. The first reason is the shadow on the face. I've positioned the light 45 degrees slightly above the subject so that it casts a drop shadow on the chin and cheek. This shadow makes the face look more three-dimensional, thus creating depth. It also creates what's called Rembrandt lighting, which is one of the most popular lighting patterns in Hollywood films, where you have this little triangle of light right below one of the eyes. Now, there's all kinds of lighting patterns that can be applied for different looks. We won't cover all of them here, but in the course we talk in depth about how to achieve different looks for different scenarios and when to use hard versus soft light and how to create those different qualities of light. But another reason why this image has more depth is because of color contrast. By lighting up my background blue, it contrasts my orange skin, which is on the opposite spectrum of the color wheel, thus making my face pop out more from the background, again creating depth. And
No,
lastly,
he
the
hasn't
overall
talked about it yet.
exposure of the image on my face is brighter than the lighting on the background. So by having contrast of exposures, again, it helps the subject stand out from the background, creating more depth. And a big rookie mistake I see is people having their backgrounds way brighter than the subject, which is fine if you're doing a silhouette shot, but otherwise, if you're trying to expose for your subject, then it will just make your image look blown out and amateur. Another common mistake I see is when people have the direction of light coming from an unflattering angle, causing weird shadows in weird places, making it super unflattering. So look out for those mistakes as well. Now, some of you are saying right now, well, I don't have money to buy any nice
It's a
lights,
video
so how
about
can I create
filmmaking,
good lighting
like
just using
cinematic
natural
videos.
sunlight? Well, here's a few tips for you.
This
Tip
guy's
number
really
1 of shooting with natural light is the time of day. Typically, the best time of day to shoot is during golden hour. This is the first hour of light in the morning and the last hour of light at night. The reason it looks so good is that the light is lower in the sky, creating a much more flattering direction of light, versus if you were to shoot at noonday when the sun is high in the sky, that direction of light is much less flattering and the colors outside are less saturated.
Facts.
So I always try and schedule my shoots around golden hour. Another reason for shooting at golden hour is it allows you to use the sun as backlight, which is tip number 2, and that is camera direction. Personally, I love shooting into the sun because when you use the sun as your backlight, it gives you these beautiful sun flares coming in and out of your image, which is a super popular cinematic look. Using the sun as backlight also creates even lighting on your subject's face versus having your subject being lit directly by hard, harsh sunlight.
Oh,
In this example,
facts.
the subject on the left has raccoon eyes because the sun is directly overhead and in front of them. So you see all these harsh shadows on the face and they're squinting because the sun's in their eyes, versus on the right, their eyes are wide open. There's no squinting, no harsh shadows on the face, just nice even light. So I highly
Wow.
recommend, especially when shooting people's faces, to shoot with the sun behind the subject.
Oh my God,
ideally,
this
when
is
you
such
do
good
this, you want to have a
content.
reflector to
This is
bounce
really
some of
good
that light back on your subject so that your background isn't too overexposed like we just talked about. And you can pick up a cheap reflector for like $20 off of Amazon. But even if you don't have a reflector, there's a lot of good natural reflectors out there, like big white buildings or a sand beach or snow or windows. So when I'm shooting into the sun, I'm always looking for things that I can use around me to get some of that sun to reflect back on the subject to help light them up better so they aren't too much darker than the backlight.
Wow.
Now, there are times when I like to use the sun as a front light source. The main time is when I'm doing wide landscape shots. Here's an example of shooting a landscape on a cloudy day, and then the same shot, but with the scene being front lit by the sun. Look how much more color it adds to have the sun out. So when doing landscapes, I like it to be super sunny. And in this case, that meant I had to wait around for a half hour for the weather to change
Wow.
to get a better shot, which brings me to our third tip for shooting in natural light, and that is weather. If you can, try and wait for the sun to come out because it's going to help your images pop more. But if the clouds do come out, it's not always a bad thing. There are certain things that actually look better with clouds. For example, shooting weddings or people's faces are great on cloudy days because the clouds act as a giant diffuser, which softens the light and creates more flattering looks on people's faces. So figure out how to utilize different weather patterns to your advantage. If it's rainy or snowy, some people would put their camera away, but to me, that's the best time to get that epic slow motion shot because you have the rain or snow creating that awesome movement.
Oh God,
That looks super
that's so
epic.
true.
Again, we cover lighting in depth in the course, but needless to say, lighting is probably the single biggest factor that separates amateur looking films from professionals. As an example, check out this image that was shot by my buddy. I let him borrow my $8,000 camera setup, and yet it still turned out super amateur looking despite the nice camera. So I went over to a studio, spent $300 on cheap lights and acoustic foam, set it all up, and here was the results. And the twist is, the after image was shot on a $600 SL2, just to prove that it's not the camera, but the skills behind the camera that make the image look professional, and lighting was a huge part of that. So take time to learn how to use lighting, folks. But moving on now to our third cinematic secret, composition. Now there's quite a few elements to good composition. We talked about one element already in lighting.
Yeah, I'm doing okay now, thanks to you guys being so nice.
About dominant subjects, filling your frame, using the rule of thirds or symmetry or patterns or repetition and so on. But the main element of composition that I want to focus on in this training is depth. Creating depth is one of the most important things you can do to create a cinematic looking image. And there's a few tips I'll give you on how to create more depth in your image. The first and quickest way is to shoot at a low aperture. I often shoot a lot of my shots at 2.8 or lower, and the reason being, when you use low aperture, it knocks the background out of focus and gives you a shallow depth of field, thus separating your subject from the background, creating depth. For example, take a look at this side by side. There's people in the background of both of these shots, but you can't tell in the shot on the left because the background is knocked out of focus. This helps your viewer focus on the subject and not get distracted by unimportant background details. Keep in mind though, using a lower aperture doesn't guarantee this look. You also have to make sure your subject is far removed from the background and that the camera is relatively close to the subject in relation to that background. And as you can see, this creates a lot more depth to the image. Now, depth can also be created by using foreground. So when I'm framing up a shot, I'm always looking for some foreground to put in front of my lens to make my image feel more three-dimensional. So look at this shot here. I have foreground on my right, I have my subject in the middle, and I have background blurred out in the back. These three layers help create depth to my image. Again, if I were just to shoot against a flat wall,
Am I dressing up for Halloween?
depth.
Oh yeah, what day is it today? Let's see if it's close to Halloween. Well, what am I gonna dress up for Halloween for? Like, what, a Halloween party on my YouTube? I mean, like, I don't know. I guess I could.
But if I simply position
So
myself
lame, though.
against this wall and change the direction at which I'm shooting, it creates depth by
Sure.
adding foreground and background. So always look for opportunities to create more depth to your image. Another tip for creating depth is to look for leading lines. Find natural lines around you like bridges or fences or anything you can find that helps lead your eye to the center of the image is also going to help create depth and make those shots look more cinematic. Moving on now to cinematic secret number 4 is camera angles. One of the questions I get asked most is people unsure what camera angles to use and when, and how many angles they should cover when filming a scene. Again, we have a full video just on this topic, but in this video we're going to discuss 12 of the most commonly used camera angles used in Hollywood films, and they are as follows. You have your wide shot, which is great for establishing locations, your long full body, which is similar to the wide shot, but usually on a tighter focal length and showing the full body, your medium shot, which is usually from the waist up, similar to what you're seeing right now, a cowboy shot, which is usually in between long and medium from around the knees up,
I'm tired. I don't
close-up
watch
shot, which
anymore.
is usually just of the face, a detail or extreme close-up shot, which is usually super tight to show a specific detail, a low angle to show more power or dominance, a high angle to show vulnerability or weakness, a Dutch angle to make you feel like something's not quite right, the over-the-shoulder, which is commonly used to show dialogue is happening between two people, the POV shot to show the viewing perspective of your subject, common in action scenes, and the cutaway shot, which is basically used to take a break and cut away from the main action. Now, we're not going to go into too much detail here, but the idea is to use a variety of these camera angles so that when you go into the editing room, you have a lot of angles to choose from so that you can better tell your story in a way that helps the audience become fully immersed and feel like they are actually there. So how many of these angles should you use for any one scene? I'd say as many as time allows, but typically I like to live by something I call the 5-shot rule. So when I'm covering an important piece of action, I like to cover it from at least 5
Oh, happy
different camera
birthday.
angles. Here's an example of a music video I shot for a local band and foreign figures. I started the video with a wide establishing shot to show off the location. Then I cut to some tight shots of a different band member's face and instruments. I also mixed in some medium shots of the waist up, some long full body shots here and there, and occasionally an extreme close-up to show off a specific detail. And I even did some
I want
drone
to eat
shots
something,
to
I'm
get a
not gonna
higher
lie.
angle for a new perspective. I did about 20 takes total on this shoot, but made sure to cover those 20 takes from a variety of camera angles so that I had freedom and flexibility in the editing room to cut between different angles to give the viewer a much more dynamic viewing experience. And now to show you how important it is to shoot from a variety of camera angles, here's a short clip of my team member Jake walking into our office and beginning to work at his computer. This is what it looks like shot from one boring angle, and this is what you typically see from a beginner. And now here's that exact same clip shot from all 12 camera angles that we previously mentioned to show you how much more life it adds to your story when you use multiple camera angles. Check it out.
Oh, thank you so much. This is so sweet. Oh my god, I just missed all that information, but good thing I'm screen recording it. Holy fuck.
You gotta be kidding me! As you can see, having multiple camera angles adds a variety of perspectives, making the story more engaging and helping the editor more easily edit together a compelling story. Now, it's not
That looks
always
so
better to
good.
shoot a lot of camera angles. Sometimes you want your story to feel slower paced, lonely, boring, or just like you're a fly on the wall. But I'd say most of the time, having multiple camera angles adds more life to your films. But moving on now to cinematic secret number 5, motivated camera movements. The biggest thing that separates my films from so many others is my ability to move the camera in a way that immerses the audience into the story. So I'm now going to share with you my top 10 gimbal movements and when I use them to help tell my story better. So without further ado, here are my 10 gimbal movements. So the first and most common movement that I use is called the push-in or dolly shot. This is when you just move straight forward. And I like to use this as an intro shot to a video to establish a location or show off a wide landscape, or great for real estate to mimic walking through a house. Basically, it's a great way to quickly add movement to any shot as a great alternative to just a static tripod shot. The second movement is the pull-out or reverse dolly, basically the opposite of the push-in, and is achieved by just moving straight back. I like to use pullouts at the end of videos to help resolve the story and make my audience feel like they are leaving the scene, or I'll sometimes use it to reveal something later on in my shot.
That's so
Movement
cool.
number 3 is the parallax. This is probably my favorite shot and the movement that I use most, and it's achieved by walking in one direction while panning my camera in the opposite direction.
Thank you so much for saying I'm naturally pretty. I really appreciate it. Like you said, you're so naughty, pretty girl. You said that. Thank you so much.
Movement all around them. Move number 4 is the rise up, and this is when I bend my knees, start low, and then move straight up, ending as high as I can to mimic the move that a jib would make. And you can also tilt down while rising up to give a similar parallaxing effect. Move number 5 is the reveal. This is where I find something in my foreground to glide up against to reveal my subject in the background. And this is a great move to use for in-camera transitions to help your edits flow better. Move number 6 is the tilt down. This is where I have something interesting above me that I want to show off, and then I slowly tilt down to reveal my subject. I usually double this with the push-in move for more movement.
That
And
looks
the opposite
good.
of that would be the tilt up, and this is done by starting with the camera facing on something below me, and
Damn,
slowly tilting up
that's
to reveal my
sick.
subject. Number 7 is the change of focus. This is when I set my focus point close to my subject, then I'll scoot back and start my shot so that my subject is out of focus, and then push in until I hit that focus spot. This is another great way to reveal your subject by starting them out of focus and bringing them into focus.
That's lit.
There's a couple of times when I've done that. Move number 8
That's
is
so
the
lit.
tracking shot. This includes lead tracking, follow tracking, side tracking. This is basically when you are maintaining the same distance from your subject by moving with them to keep them in the same spot.
The best and nicest belly ever.
Shots are a great alternative to just panning
Thanks.
from a distance. If you are feel like they're in the action. Move number 9 is transition moves. This is where I plan out beforehand 2 different shots that I will stitch together in post. Similar to the reveal shot we talked about, but more purposeful in shooting 2 shots with similar movements that I can stitch together in post, and usually includes passing by something in the foreground so you have something to cut off of, or shooting 2 shots with the exact same movement so they flow together in the editing room. And I show in the course how to stitch these shots together in the editing room for that seamless transition look. And movement number 10 is low mode. This is where I turn the camera upside down or reverse my gimbal so that I can get as low to the ground as possible, giving my audience a different perspective and more of the hero shot look. So just a great way to mix it up and give new perspectives. So there you have my top 10 movements. If you can learn and apply these creative moves, it's going to add a lot of emotion and energy to your films. Another important note, one of the biggest rookie mistakes I see is people trying to use a lot of camera movement, but the movements are super shaky when they are meant to be smooth. Just because you have a gimbal doesn't guarantee smooth shots. You still have to learn how to actually use it properly. And here's 4 quick tips to make sure your gimbal shots are as smooth as possible. Number 1, make sure your gimbal is correctly balanced. And if it's motorized, make sure your settings aren't too stiff or too loose. This isn't super easy to do. It will take time to learn how to properly balance, but it is absolutely essential. Number 2, learning how to have soft hands for slow, controlled movements. I see too many people making quick, jerky movements, and again, this takes a lot of practice to develop that soft touch. Number 3 is lens choice. The wider the lens, the more it will hide any imperfections in your movements. So starting out with a wider lens is usually better for beginners. And number 4 is bend your knees to act as shocks to absorb the up and down movements of your footsteps. Again, we cover these 4 keys to getting smooth shots more in depth in the course. We talk more about how to balance the glide cam perfectly and how to balance motorized gimbals. Plus, we give you our favorite gimbal settings, but hopefully that at least gives you an idea of what to focus on to improve the smoothness of your shots so that you can
This guy's given a lot of good
clean,
information.
steady movements into your videos. Moving on now to cinematic secret number 6 is perspective or lens choice. Which lens should you use and when? Now this is a topic that took me years to understand, and I was honestly just guessing for a long time. So what I'm about to tell you will save you years of guessing if you pay attention. First, let's talk about zoom lenses, then we'll talk about prime lenses right after. Of my zoom lenses, my favorite lens to use on a full frame camera is my 16 to 35 millimeter wide angle. Wide angle lenses are great for things like landscapes because the wide field of view allows you to see more of your surrounding scenery. They're also great for shooting real estate or architecture, as it makes the house or building look much bigger than it really is. Or when I'm shooting action adventure type stuff, I want to get really close to the action while still being able to see my full subject in the frame. The times that I don't use 16 millimeter is when I'm doing a close-up of the human face. As you can see, it distorts all the facial features and isn't very flattering. It's been said that between 70 and 100 millimeters is the most flattering focal length for the human face. So when I'm shooting something like a wedding or portraits, I always pop on my standard lens, the 24 to 70 millimeter, and this allows me to zoom into 70 when I'm shooting tights of people's faces, but I still have the flexibility to get pretty wide by zooming out to 24
Holy
millimeter
fuck,
to
did
get
you
that
see that
wide group shot
focal
of the
length
entire family.
change in the
So the 24
face?
to
Like,
70 is probably going to be your most versatile all-purpose lens for shooting things like live events. Now my 70 to 200
fucking
lens is probably
cameras
my
are not
least used
accurate.
lens of
What
my
the fuck?
zooms. The main times I use it is when I can't physically get any closer to my subject, like when I'm filming live workshops or concerts or a marriage ceremony where you are unable to get closer to the action, so you have to set up a tripod from far away and just zoom in. As for my prime lenses, I love Sigma Art primes because they're a lot
Yeah,
cheaper
he's
than
like
Canon
a
glass, but still deliver
big
similar
time filmmaker
quality.
type shit.
The Sigma primes that I own are the 20
At least
millimeter,
YouTube
24,
filmmaker.
35, 50, and 85. I do also own a Liowa 12 millimeter for those really wide shots and a Liowa Probe lens for unique product shots. But
Damn,
those are more
lenses
special
got me
lenses.
fucked
All
up.
of my Sigma Art
'Cause,
lenses
like,
are a 1.4 aperture, which means I can get even more shallow depth of field, and they allow me to shoot in lower light situations. So if you want more background blur and find yourself shooting in a lot of low light situations, then those are the times to choose prime lenses over zooms. Also, prime lenses typically have better overall sharpness and image quality. The downside to primes, however, is they can
damn,
zoom,
can't relate.
so
I'm
you don't
broke
have as
AF.
much versatility and flexibility to get a
Yummy.
variety of focal lengths without having to carry around several lenses and
But they're not
constantly
that
swapping them
expensive. They're
out
like a
and potentially missing out on some of the
$500 to
shots. But hopefully those are
$1,000.
some
Like,
good tips for you to help you know my favorite lenses and the times I use them. Moving on
that's
now to cinematic secret number
insane.
7 is focus while moving. Everything
Look
can
at
be
that.
perfect about your shot, but if it's out of focus, it's not usable. And one of the biggest challenges I see
I gotta try out these lens lengths. Like,
So here's my 4 main tips for staying in focus. Number 1, get a camera with really good autofocus.
I gotta get.
Like the Canon's dual pixel autofocus system. Sony also has really good autofocus, but those are probably the only 2 manufacturers whose autofocus systems I trust right now, but others are getting better over the years. And I probably use autofocus 80% of the time on my shoots because the technology is just that good. But when I'm using cameras like I am now with my Red camera that doesn't have autofocus, here's some tips to use manual focus. Tip number 2 is to set your focus on your subject, then maintain that same distance from the subject throughout the whole shot, like I'm doing right now. If you need to change distance, then you'll have to refocus to that new distance. Tip number 3, for a more handheld look, I will either shoot handheld or hold the shaft of my glide cam and change focus as I move closer or farther from the subject. If you use something like a Crane 2 or Ronin S, it has a focus
Damn, he
that
cute as
allows you to
fuck. What the
focus
fuck?
manually continuously as
Cute
you're
as
moving
shit.
around. And tip
Fuck.
number 4 is to use a high aperture, like between 16 and 20, so that everything is in focus. I mentioned that I usually try and shoot everything at a lower
So
aperture,
cute.
like around 2.8.
It's crazy.
But when I'm filming wider shots like landscapes, when I want all of my
Love a
image to be
cutie
in
pie.
focus,
Ooh,
I'll bump up
sexy.
my aperture much
Sexy
higher
popular
so
boy.
that
Ooh.
everything in the frame is in focus. This will give
Yeah,
you a
that's
lot
what I
more
want.
leeway to
Yeah.
move closer or farther
It's
from
very
your
difficult to
subject
find them
while
though.
still
Very
keeping
difficult to
them in
find.
focus. And for those last 3 manual focus tips, I highly recommend turning on focus peaking on your camera. If your camera doesn't have focus peaking, then you may need to buy an external monitor that does have it. And typically the bigger the monitor, the better, so I usually have a 7-inch monitor, like a small HD Focus 7, so that I can see it easier, which will increase my chances of nailing that focus.
I've read it. Don't worry, I'm reading your guys' comments, so feel free to talk to me and I'll answer because
Cinematic videos, the audio. I always say the audio
Because
is half of the viewing experience.
I'm listening, but
What
I'm
people
also
hear
reading, so
creates half of the emotion.
thank you so
And
much.
yet audio is probably the most neglected part of filmmaking by rookies. So here's a few tips to enhance the audio experience of your films. First off, when capturing audio, whether it's a sound effect or dialogue of someone speaking, the biggest mistake I see rookies make is the microphone is just too far away from the subject, or they're just not using a microphone and just using the internal camera microphone. A healthy distance that you want to aim for is having your mic 6 to 14 inches away from the subject. And here's an example so you can see the difference distance makes in the quality of audio captured.
This is me talking with the mic 1 foot away from my mouth. This is me talking with the mic 3 feet away from my mouth. This is me talking with the mic 5 feet away from my mouth. And this is me talking with the mic 10 feet away from my mouth.
And when recording, you want to make sure the audio levels on average.
What's the video I'm watching called 10 Secrets to Cinematic Videos, Full-Time Filmmaker.
Tutorials in the course showing you how to set up different microphones, but whatever mic you have, take the time to get your audio levels set correctly and place the
It's like
mic
an
at
ad
appropriate
for
distance from
course.
the subject. Once good audio is captured, the next step is mixing it in post and selecting some complementary music or sound
got
effects
really
to
good
help add to the
information.
story. Personally, I think music is huge. Why would you spend a full day or sometimes weeks shooting amazing visuals and put 0 time and effort into selecting quality, amazing audio to accompany it? Don't just pick the first song that you find. Dig deep and listen to a lot of different tracks, play them alongside your footage, and ask yourself, does this song help add to the emotion of the footage, or does it distract or compete with the visuals? And keep searching until you find one that brings out the emotion you're hoping for. And the main sites I get my music from are as follows: premiumbeat.com, MusicBed, Soundstripe, Artlist, and Audio Jungle. Usually from one of those 5 sites I can find a song to license that fits my footage, and I actually worked out a deal with Soundstripe to give 20% off their services, so all full-time filmmaker members get unlimited licensing for around $100 a year. And I've also worked out deals with other sites as well. But once you get your music picked out, another rookie mistake I see is people editing their footage to just music and not having any sound effects. To show you how important this is, take a listen to one of my edits with and without sound effects. Now, some of those sounds were captured while I was shooting, and I try and capture as many clean sound effects as I can while on location, but a lot of the audio is captured or added in post, and that's called sound design or sound mixing, when you add more sounds on top of the existing audio to beef it up. If you look at my project file, you
I mean,
see that
yeah,
sometimes
like
I
it's
have
cool,
6
but
or
it looks
7
kind
or
of
even
funky.
more
Maybe
layers
it's just
of audio that all
shitty done.
combine to make the audio more full. And in
But
the
yeah, it
base course,
definitely
we
adds
actually
to it.
include over 100 of our most common sound effects that we use to help our students start building a library of sound effects. And I also provide a link where you can download a huge library of thousands of quality sound effects for free as well. But point is, audio is huge, don't neglect it. Now, let's assume you followed all these first 8 secrets that I've just taught you. You should have some pretty cinematic looking images by now. But there's more to great videos or films than just what the image looks like or sounds like. You also need to know how to tell a story with those beautiful images. So secret number 9 is storytelling. People always ask me for tips on
Storytelling. I'm so bad at storytelling. What am I supposed to do? I don't have stories.
So happy or motivated or inspired, and ultimately that's the number one goal of storytelling, to create emotion. And you'll know that you succeeded at telling a story if you can successfully evoke a certain emotional response from your audience. And depending on what type of story you're telling will
Wait,
depend on
what?
the emotion you're trying to create. For a wedding video, you probably want to create
I
an emotion
checked
of
and
love,
confirmed he's a
happiness, and
snack.
joy.
Wait,
For a
which
travel
one?
video, you probably want your viewers to feel
Guys, she
inspired,
actually very pretty if you
motivated,
look at the
entertained.
wallpaper
For a
from
real
her
estate
channel.
video, you
Who?
probably want to
Me?
create an inviting,
Who are you saying I'm
luxurious,
not? I'm
peaceful,
ugly?
comfortable home. So determine before you start
Tell
a
me,
project
tell me,
what
Jenny
emotion you
Lols.
want to
Tell
evoke.
me.
And this will be your
You
foundation
say I'm
for your
ugly right
story. It
now.
will help you shape the way you shoot, what movements you
Are you
use,
talking about
what
my
music you use,
wall?
what angles you shoot from, which will then help you tell a better story when editing and post. And because I believe
Who are you
that half
talking
of the
about?
storytelling takes place in the editing room, it is crucial that you learn how to shoot to edit. What that means is have a vision of what your final video is going to look like and the emotions you want to create with that final
No,
video.
dummy,
So
you're
that
literally
while
so
you're
gorgeous. I
shooting,
don't
you're
understand why you
making
get
sure
hate.
that
Oh,
every
thank you
shot,
so much. Who are
every
you talking
movement is
about?
motivated by the
Guys,
end
she's actually
story
very
you're
pretty
trying
if
to
you look
tell
at her
and the
wallpaper
emotion
for
you're
her
trying to
channel.
create. If you're trying to create an emotion of
Wait,
fear, you
what
probably want to use
wallpaper
a
for my
shaky,
channel?
frantic handheld camera look. If you're trying to
Are you?
create an
Who are
emotion
you
of
talking
peace
about?
and serenity, then you're probably going to want to use slow, smooth moving shots. If you want to create an emotion of adrenaline, you probably want to use fast-paced camera movements and quicker cuts. But a problem I see often
Me?
with many filmmakers is that they have a
Okay.
clear vision in their
Oh,
mind
thanks,
of
but
what the
like,
video is going to look like, so they don't have
it
a
sounds
purpose
like
for every
you're saying
shot
I'm
they're
not
getting.
pretty
They're
now,
just shooting to have
but it's
footage, and
okay.
I guess we'll
I can
figure it out
understand.
in the editing room. And though a lot can be
Come here,
done in the editing room
bestie.
to create a
Hi,
story out of nothing,
Jake
I
Phantom.
promise
Oh,
your
it
final
sounds
videos will turn out
sexy.
much
I
better
like
if
that
you're shooting
name.
every shot, every angle,
Add me
every
on
movement with
Snapchat.
your edit in mind. So take some time to visualize your end product and the emotions you want to convey
Thank you,
before you start
Jake. Oh
shooting.
my
But like I said,
god.
smooth
I'm
moves
on
is only
Snapchat,
half of the
Pegasus Goddess.
storytelling. The other half is editing, which brings me to the second half of storytelling and our last and final
Danny
secret,
Phantom,
secret
Jake
number 10,
Phantom.
and that is the editing. A lot of people don't realize that half of the cinematicness of my videos happens in the editing room. I can take average footage and make it look great, and I can take great footage and make it look amazing, simply because of my editing skills. And the editing software that I use is Adobe Premiere Pro, and Adobe actually uses my footage that I shot in Guatemala as their demo footage when you first open the app, so that's kind of cool. But in the course, I actually teach from both Premiere and
Whoa,
Final
that's
Cut Pro
crazy.
X, so it doesn't matter which
Your
one
teeth
you
are perfect,
use, everyone
MG. Thank you
teaches
so
both.
much.
And
Thank
just
you for
FYI,
saying
one of
pretty.
the great perks of
My
joining
snap is
full-time
Pegasus
filmmaker
Goddess.
is that all members get the Adobe Creative Cloud Student
Pegasus
discount, which will
Goddess.
save you
Jake.
upwards of
Jake.
$360 a year in software expenses. So that perk alone
Let
will
me know if
cover
you
the
need
cost of joining the course in just a
spelling.
couple of years. But I now want to give you a few editing tips to help you tell more engaging cinematic stories that evoke emotion. Tip number 1 is shot
Yay,
footage.
be my
I
best
will often
friend.
use less than 5% of all the footage I shot in my final video. Because I shoot to edit, I make sure to
Baby.
get plenty of angles,
Yeah,
several
be my
takes
best
if
friend.
possible, using different focal
Yeah.
lengths and different camera
Okay,
movement
I'm on
styles so that I have options in the
Snapchat.
editing room. But just because I
Pegasus
shot
Goddess.
the
Fuck
footage
it.
doesn't mean I have to use it. Only
Everyone can
take
at
the
me.
best of the best. If you have 2 shots that are very similar, determine which one helps tell your story better and delete the other one. I see too many videos full of average or repetitive footage. Every shot I put in a video has purpose. Don't use clips just because you shot them or just to make your video longer. If you don't love it, omit it. Editing tip number 2 is to use appropriate cuts and transitions. Again, one of the biggest rookie mistakes I see is people overusing the same preset transition over and over again, or making jarring cuts that don't flow together, leaving the audience feeling confused as to what's going on. Again, I have a full
Oh,
video on this
awesome.
topic.
Okay,
Basically,
awesome.
I break down 12 of the most used cuts and transitions in Hollywood films, and they are as follows. Number 1 is the clean cut or hard cut, which is just a basic cut, but when making basic cuts, make sure to use the 30-degree rule, which states that you should use a different camera angle by at least 30 degrees and or a different focal length to help separate those 2 cuts from feeling like a jump cut, which is cut number 2, which when used purposefully can show the passing of time, but when used accidentally just feels jarring and confusing. Cut number 3 is the L cut, which basically means means you have the audio from clip 1 carrying over into clip 2, which is commonly used in dialogue scenes. Cut number 4 is the opposite of the L cut. It's the J cut. Same thing, using the audio from clip 2, cuts back into clip 1 to help ease your audience into the next clip. Cut number 5 is cutting on action, like punches or someone running past camera or slamming a door or splashing in water. Cut number 6 is cross-cutting, where you cut back and forth between two pieces of action that are taking place at the
I'm
same
just
time. Cut
watching a
number 7 is
video.
the cutaway, which means that you cut away from your main action
I'm
to a different
focusing.
piece of action. Cut number 8 is the match cut, which means you cut two clips together that have similar framing or similar camera movement. Number 9 is the smash cut, which means you cut from something loud and intense to something calm and quiet, or vice versa. Cut number 10 is the crossfade, which means you fade between two clips, usually used in slower paced videos. Don't overuse this one. Big rookie mistake to use a bunch of crossfades for no reason. Cut number 11 is the camera movement cut. This is a trendy seamless transition that is becoming super popular and is achieved by whipping the camera in one direction at the end of clip A and starting clip B, whipping the camera in the same direction, and then cutting them together in post and letting the motion blur seamlessly transition them together. And cut number 12, similar to the camera movement cut, is the invisible cut, which usually uses an all black frame, all white frame, or something passing in front of the camera in the foreground to hide the cut, again making it appear like one continuous shot. Now, I realize those are a lot of cuts and transitions to take in all at once. Again, we have a full video covering these in depth, but I wanted to quickly name all of those off so you can have all of those in mind and not make the rookie mistake that a lot of people make, which is throwing together just transition presets or crossfading between every clip. Now you will have a wide variety of cuts and transitions you can use to
My
mix
arm
up your videos
hurts.
to make them feel more professional. But moving on now to our third and last editing tip, color grading. Without going too in-depth about color theory, know that using different color grades can manipulate your footage to convey certain emotions. For example, warmer tones usually convey happier, lighter emotions and will be seen in movies like romances. Cooler tones usually convey more dramatic emotions and will oftentimes be seen in thrillers or horror films. Desaturated colors convey dead, lifeless emotions and are often used for apocalyptic films. Vibrant, saturated colors convey a feeling full of life and are used in films like comedies or more lighthearted, upbeat films. And for pretty much every type of film, you'll usually see a good amount of orange and teal being used to give you that epic blockbuster Hollywood look. This can easily be overdone though, so be careful with it. I personally do like to use a subtle orange and teal LUT on most of my footage, and I actually teamed up with Lutify Me to create my own LUT that is included in the course, and I also provide links to where you can download other popular, awesome orange and teal LUTs as well. But just to give you an idea of my general color grading
When am I
process,
going
I'm
to
going to
sleep?
now show you how to create that orange
Pretty
and teal
soon.
look without using a LUT. So
Pretty
here I
damn
have a clip
soon.
that I shot on a smartphone just to show you that it doesn't
Pretty
matter
damn
how nice of
soon.
a camera you shoot on, you can still create some great looks.
Should I
up
do a
close. My
sleepover
first step
stream?
would be to come into Lumetri Color in Premiere Pro. For this image specifically, I'm going to warm it up a little.
This is
Since it
actually
was
like
shot
a,
at golden hour, and I want to give it that
I got
golden
it from
hour
like
look.
a
Next, I'm going to bring up the exposure just a
giveaway.
tad, as it's a
Giveaway
little bit dark.
shirt.
You notice that it kind of blew out my highlights over here a little, so I'm going to come back into the highlight slider and just bring some of those highlights back. Then because my subject is a little bit underexposed, I'm going to bring up my shadows a tad, and I'll usually add a touch of saturation
Damn,
as
looks
well.
good.
Then I'll come down to my curves tab, add an S
Oh,
curve.
that's
It's called
awesome.
S curve because it's shaped like an S. Basically what it does is it gives you some more contrast to your image and gives it a little pop. And up to this point, this is a basic color correction. Now is when you
Damn.
give it more of a stylized look by either adding a LUT, or in this case, we're going to come down here to hue versus hue and just bring up everything but the skin tones to make our blues more teal and all of the colors like yellow and green become more orange. Then I'd come up to the hue versus saturation, just bring down my teal saturation a tad, and then my hue versus luma will come here to the yellows and oranges and bring back some of that blown out sky. So there you have it. That's pretty much all the tools I use on 90% of my color grades, and that's how you can achieve the orange and teal look without using a LUT. Obviously, every clip is different, so you can't do the exact same thing to every clip, but that should at least give you a good idea of my color grading process in general. Again, we have over 40 videos in the course just about my editing workflow and several videos on coloring different types of footage, but hopefully that gives you guys some good
Maybe
tips
Premiere
about the
Pro
key
is the
elements
way.
to editing cinematic videos and telling compelling
But like,
stories.
I don't
But there
know.
you have it, folks. That wraps up my 10 secrets to creating
It's
cinematic
for like
videos.
really
Next, I want to
immersive
shift gears and
editing, and I
talk more
don't do
about
it.
the
I just need a
business
green
side of
screen.
video and share with you the 6 steps that I took to build a successful video business. One of the most frequently asked questions I get is, how did I get started and how did I scale my business to where it's at today? Now let's rewind 8 years ago when I was just 22 years old. I was in college, had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I had zero filmmaking education, zero experience, and I didn't even own a camera at this time of my life. What was I doing? I was knocking doors selling direct TV in the hot hot weather of Texas, absolutely
A
hating my
sleep stream would
job.
be
I
interesting. Like,
dreaded waking up every morning and going to work, but I needed the money, and I think that's where a lot of people are at in life, especially
fuck.
people who are in college or high school, trying to figure out how to get
Oh,
by
okay.
financially while
Context.
also trying to figure out what they really want to do for a career. And one night, after a long day of knocking doors, I came across a quote by Steve Jobs that inspired me to change my life. It reads, "Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, don't settle." Now, I was currently settling for a job that I didn't love, so I made a commitment right then and there that I wasn't going to do something I hated just to make money, but rather I was going to find something that I truly loved doing so that I could achieve great work in my lifetime. So I quit my job the next day and I started searching for my real passion. That's when I came across a video on YouTube by a guy named Devin Supertramp, and I immediately fell in love with what he was doing, and I decided that that is what I wanted to do with my life. So I dove in headfirst, spent my life savings on buying my first camera setup, which was a used T3i, a Tokina 11 to 16 millimeter lens, and a Glidecam HD 2000, totaling $1,300, which for me at the time was a lot of money, but this is the first of my 6
No, I don't
steps to being
game.
successful, and that is being willing to invest in yourself. You need to be willing to invest in professional gear if you want to be paid as a professional. So my advice is don't be too cheap. Buy quality gear that will deliver quality footage. And again, I'll give you my recommendations for gear that I think will help you get by in different price ranges. We'll talk about that in the Q&A at the end. But the point is, be willing to take risks. It's kind of like paying for an education.
You only
Be willing
attract
to invest in your
ghosts.
future. I can't emphasize that enough. But as soon as my fancy new gear arrived, I realized that I had no idea how to use it. And so I spent the rest of the summer watching frustrating YouTube tutorials trying to teach myself how to do everything. I'm sure a lot of you have been in the same boat, where you spend an hour looking for a tutorial, you finally find one that looks promising, but it's 20 minutes long and you're lucky if you get 30 seconds of useful information out of it. Huge waste of time. I know how it goes, and that's actually a huge reason why I built
Yeah, I might do mukbangs. I got a new microphone, so like I have to get this set up right, and then I'll be able to do mukbangs.
To spending months or years of your life watching YouTube tutorials and learning from your own mistakes. I know because I took the YouTube route, and I could have learned everything 10 times faster had I had what I've built with Full-Time Filmmaker. But whether you
Have
go
you
to film
seen the
school,
CBS
watch
series?
YouTube tutorials, or join Full-Time Filmmaker, or all three, the second
No.
step to being successful is mastering your skills. What separates you from other filmmakers out there? No one's going to hire you over someone else if their videos are better than yours. Now, this is going to take time. If you go to film school, it will take 4 years. If you go to the YouTube route like me, it will still take several years. And some of our Full-Time Filmmaker students have been able to go from rookie to expert in a matter of months, but more realistically, will still take a year or two. But the point is, it is going to take time to develop your skills, and during that process of development, you're going to have to learn how to fake it till you make it. This is an important principle I teach all the time. No one masters their skills overnight.
Oh, really?
They do it by attempting things that make them uncomfortable, by doing things they don't know how to
Yeah,
do.
be my best
Example, this is
friend.
my first event I ever shot. A couple months after buying my first camera setup, I was at a paint dance at my local university, and while dancing with my friends, I noticed that nobody was filming the event, and I immediately recognized it as an opportunity to pose myself as the professional filmmaker on campus. So I ran back to my car, grabbed my camera gear, jumped over the fence, and hopped on stage and just pretended that I knew what I was doing and that I was the one who was hired to film the event. And I just started faking it till I made it. I didn't feel confident, but I acted confident, and pretty soon everyone there thought I was the film guy hired to film the event. I then took that footage home, pulled an all-nighter editing together a video, posted it on YouTube the next day, and everyone in the school started sharing it like crazy. Everyone saw that video, including the administration, who pulled me into their office and said, "We loved this video you just made and would like to offer you a scholarship to film the rest of our events for the rest of the year." And I was like, yeah, of course I'll take a scholarship. And just like that, I went from not knowing anything about filmmaking to becoming the director of cinematography at Southern Utah University. And all of a sudden, all these new doors started opening up, new clients came pouring in, and this leads me to step number 3, and that is to build a portfolio. This is huge. You need to have demo videos to show clients in order for them to trust that you can pull off a certain level of quality. I landed a scholarship based off of that one paint dance video, which led me to film more events, and those events led the gymnastics coach to see my work and hire me to film their meets, which led someone else to see those videos and hire me for something else. The best way to get work is to create work. You need to build a portfolio of videos in order to get noticed. And many ask me at this point, well, what should I film? And I always say, film whatever you want to get hired for. If you want to film weddings, then go film a few free weddings so that you have a portfolio to show engaged couples so that you can land some wedding gigs. And this
Holy
leads me to
fuck,
step
that looks
number
really
four,
good.
and that is to market yourself. Even if you don't feel confident in your skill level yet, you have to put your work out there. Post your work on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, send out emails to businesses, create a website. The more eyeballs that see your work, the greater the likelihood that someone with a video need will see that work and want to hire you. Without fail, every time I post a new video on social media, I get more jobs. I don't even advertise myself as a wedding videographer, but because of one wedding video
You
I
need a
posted on
portfolio.
YouTube, I've gotten 1 to 2
Facts.
wedding video inquiries every week for the past 2 or 3 years. So always share your work. And again, I talk more in depth in the program about SEO strategies on how to share videos most effectively to increase total viewership on different platforms and to also build a following. But moving on to step number 5, build relationships. A huge part of my success was finding mentors and building a relationship with guys like Kevin Graham and his circle of influence. You've all heard that it's not what you know, it's who you know, and that is absolutely true. One of the biggest objections I get about full-time filmmaker is, why would I buy this course if I can just watch free YouTube tutorials? My answer, in short, is you can only learn so much on YouTube for free before you have to level up and get into the courses, the mentors, the cheat codes of real life that can take you to the next level. In an oversaturated market full of average YouTube tutorial watching videographers, what are you doing to separate yourself from the crowd? You can indeed just watch YouTube tutorials for the rest of your life, but don't complain when your success is equivalent to everyone else watching YouTube videos. If you want to fast track your way to expert status and stand out from the crowd of average Joes, then you got to do something different from all the other YouTube watching average Joes. You got to step up to the next level and find yourself mentors, training courses, build connections and relationships with people who are more successful than you. I chose to surround myself with successful people and latch on to mentors and pay for courses from experts, and that's when my career really started to take off. YouTube was a great starting ground, but I never would have made it to where I am today had I not invested time and money into connecting to people that were on a higher level of success than me. And that's what full-time filmmaker aims to do, is give you access to me and thousands of other successful filmmakers so that you can build relationships, learn from mentors,
Yeah,
and
that
shorten
would
your
be
learning
so
curve so that
nice.
you
I'd
can
love a
stand out as
candle.
an
Thank
expert in a
you.
sea full of average filmmakers. And just a
I
couple
don't think I
examples
have
of
the
some of our
C.
MTF members who
I
have
don't think
applied this
I have the
principle
C.
of building relationships. One of our members' network
Yeah, I'd
his
love a
way to
homemade
being a
candle.
part of
That's
Will
it would make me
Smith's
feel
YouTube
better.
channel,
Thank you,
Film Crew.
Brianna.
Another
Oh,
network his
add me
way
on
to shooting
Snapchat.
social
Pegasus
media
got us.
content for the MLB and
Add
being
me on
on the field
Snapchat. Be
shooting the
my
big
best
moments
friend.
during the World Series. And I personally got hired to edit several videos for Imagine Dragons simply because I built a relationship with Dan Reynolds' assistant who showed the band some of my edits, which led them to hiring me. So networking to the right people is a huge part of landing jobs, and in our private community, you'll have a lot of opportunities to do just that. But one of the biggest keys to building these types of relationships is our last and final step, number 6, and that is to add value first. When you do approach people in higher places than you, do not approach them with the attitude of, hey, I need help from you. You have to add value first. Think about what you can do to add value to the person you are approaching and offer your help to them. And over time, that value always gets returned tenfold. One way I do this is by applying a principle I call free to fee. In other words, be willing to work for free before you charge a fee. An example of this was a couple of years ago. I shot an iPhone versus Red video on my own dime, in my own time, posted it on YouTube, and a year later, LG saw it and asked if I'd make a similar video for their new LG V30 smartphone and gave me a $40,000 budget to do so. Same thing happened a year later. I shot another video with my own money in Hawaii showing off the new iPhone XS, and a couple months later Huawei saw that video and asked if they could hire me with a similar huge budget to promote their new P30 Pro that was soon to come out. So the way that I've been able to attract some of my biggest name clients is by creating my own content for free, then putting it on social media and having companies see those and then wanting to pay me big budgets to do something similar for their products. So be willing to do free passion projects to build your portfolio to attract the types of clients that you want to
Yay,
work
thanks,
for. Now, I
Brianna.
usually get a
Add me on
handful of you saying
Snapchat.
at this point, oh, you should never
Hey,
work for free
bestie.
because then you'll just be
Bestie.
expected to work for free forever. That, my friends, is the problem with most creative minds. Artists usually aren't the most business savvy people, but business skills can be learned. If you learn how to communicate, negotiate, set clear expectations, correctly set prices for your work without undervaluing your services or overvaluing them and losing the job, then you'll be able to make a good living making videos. And again, we go over this in depth in the course teaching you how to set prices for work by using using a series of questions to ask your clients to ensure that you get paid what you're worth. But there you have the 6 steps that I took to build my video business.
Wow.
That's how I've gone from
Not
a
gonna lie,
struggling artist to now making a great living doing what I love. And I know these steps
if
may
I
sound
was wanting to be a
oversimplified, but I
filmmaker, this
dare
would be a
you to
great
apply
course,
them and
but
see what happens. I frequently see members in our group posting success stories about how they finally tried the free-to-fee method and landed a high-paying job. These principles do actually work.
you have his
and have allowed
course,
many
really?
of my students to make better livings
That's
doing what they love.
awesome.
And the
What's it
coolest part
like?
is, because I can now charge so much more per project, it has freed up my time to
Jake
help other
Weisler.
people
Why
improve
Jake's
their video
so
skills as
cute.
well.
Christian.
Because as I started finding
Why you're so
success and building a
sassy?
large social
I'm
media
sassy.
following, I was constantly being asked questions by my
Parker,
followers about my filmmaking
Jake,
process.
Christian.
People
I
wanted
like
to learn
these names.
how to break into this industry.
It's
So one
legit. I
day
got it
I
for
set
weddings.
out
Oh my
to
god, that's
ask all my followers
awesome.
what they wanted to learn from me, and I got
I'm
about
just
200 questions
I just
back.
saw this
I then took every
advertisement.
single question
Just got
and
really good
organized them
info.
chronologically from beginning to end. Everything one would need to know about how to become a professional filmmaker, even if they were a complete beginner. And then I took all those questions, scripted over 100 pages of organized answers. I basically wrote a book, researching and making sure I was answering all these questions correctly and concisely. I then took that 100-page script of answers and spent the next 6 months filming and editing training videos into what is now
Holy
full-time
fuck.
filmmaker. Over 400 organized training videos taking you from beginning to end. What
80 plus hours of content? Shit.
shots, my full editing workflow in both Premiere and Final Cut, all the way to landing and keeping clients and growing your own business. Currently over 80 hours of content and growing as our team of professionals continues to add more training videos every week to keep the learning relevant and up to date. And we actually built mini courses focusing on specific industries that we do sell individually as smaller courses, but they are included in the full package so that you can learn how to shoot anything from high-end luxury real estate videos, wedding videos, live events and concerts, music videos, action sports videos, commercials, travel and tourism, stock footage, YouTube branded sponsorship videos, tutorials, online courses, documentaries, independent films, you name it, we teach it. Needless to say, I think we have one of the most diverse yet concise curriculums out there, and our members are raving about this
This guy's
program
kind of
all the
smart.
time,
Like,
and you can read about some of their success stories
he's
below
fucking
this video.
smart and
But
good at
aside
what
from
he
the
does.
300 plus video curriculum, we also have some super valuable bonuses that we include in the memberships as well. As I mentioned, building relationships being a big part of my success. My team and I,
This guy is
along with our
really
community of
like
over 15,000,
intelligent.
will act as mentors to help you improve your video skills faster and make connections quicker. In our private Facebook community, my team and I are always active on there answering
Oh, you
questions.
want to do
and
video?
even
Just
more
curious.
active than us,
It's
giving support, feedback,
1K.
and troubleshooting issues. This Facebook community is also where our team will do Fridays, where every
Christian.
month we'll break down
Wait,
an
let me see
individual
Christian.
video, tell them exactly what they need to improve upon, and share it with the group so
I want to see
everyone
Christian.
can
I
each other's
I gotta see his.
we also
Wait,
do
I gotta
weekly
see
live
his.
Q&A sessions
I
where
gotta
we'll
see your
sit down
profile
and answer
picture.
any
Wait.
questions you have.
The
We
course
provide
is
real
1K.
individual
Yeah, I don't
coaching
got
and
1K, and
personal
I'm not gonna
access
look
to
to be a
practicing
filmmaker.
professionals
But like, if I
unlike any
was,
program I've seen.
I'd
And
definitely
as
get
another
it.
bonus, we also hold regular video
But like,
contests where the winner takes home $500 cash prize. Some contests are sponsored by brands where we have even bigger cash prizes, like our music bed contest we just did, where the winner took home $1,000 for making the best commercial. So a lot of great opportunities in the program to push yourself creatively and learn from other students' styles and creativity as well. Also, as another
looks so
bonus, my
shit from
team
this angle.
occasionally allows in-person job shadowers or meetups in our shoots where we share our shoot schedule on the Facebook group, telling everyone where
I
we're
feel
going to
like
be filming and when. And we
thirsting.
invite
If
any
you feel
members
like
to come out and learn
thirsting.
from us on set to see how we operate in person.
Yes.
And for those who can't make it to the
Yes.
in-person job shadows, we also have one of the shadowers film behind the scenes, and later we post the virtual job
Thirsting.
shadows so that everyone can benefit from the job shadows. And we currently have over 50 job shadow videos and counting. And as even more bonuses, I'm also throwing in a full list of my top cinematic music artists that I use, a full library of 100 of our most used sound effects.
All right, I don't want to buy
download
this though.
thousands more quality sound effects for free. Also throwing in our custom-made orange and teal LUT that we use on most of our videos, our Premiere Pro Smooth Zoom transition presets, my keyboard shortcuts, raw footage from several of our shoots with corresponding Premiere Pro project files so you can dive in deep to our workflow, and we even provide release waiver forms, invoice templates, client contract templates, and more to assist you in running your business. And on top of all the training content and bonuses, we also provide exclusive discounts on popular gear and software such as 60% off the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite, 50% off Red Giant software like Pluralize or Colorista, 10% off refurbished glide cams, Rhino sliders, Westcott lights, 20% off Soundstripe memberships, 2 free months at Artlist. We also have some internal contacts to help you get discounts on G Technology hard drives and even some Apple products. And we've recently teamed up with Adorama to offer you big savings on select high-ticket camera items such as $500 off the 1DX Mark II, $234 off a Canon EOS
All right,
R,
awesome
over $100
sauce.
off
I
the
feel
DJI
bad, but I'm not looking to be a professional filmmaker, but like that was some like I know I can't feel bad, like I probably should buy it, but like I got $1,000 bit. But that was like really like I barely remembered any of the content though. That's the thing. Oh my lord, what the fuck is that? Alright, anyway, I just want to see the the lens, like when it's like far away, but then it's like I want to see it like far away and zoomed up. That shit looks crazy. Like I need to like get a 200 lens. So like if it's 200 millimeter lens, if you like zoom up to that, like will that be like, I don't know. No one's here. No one's listening. Ah! You weren't talking before. Okay, no. I want to make, like, that takes a lot of effort to be a filmmaker. I don't want to be a professional filmmaker. It takes a lot of work. Where is the lenses thing? I want to see the lenses. I need to pee again. Again. Why is no one saying anything? No one's saying anything. No one wants to listen to my video, man. This is some craziness. No one wants to hear what I gotta say, bitch. No one cares. It's 6 people. No one cares about my live stream, man. Oh, no, it's okay. Just, you weren't paying attention to them, so they left. A good lens start with 24-70mm. Oh, thank you, Christian. Nah. I need... Wow. Are we by a waterfall? I can't with that shit. That's hilarious. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm so sassy. Sassy. I'm getting fat and sassy. Alright. Oh, are we like still in the same? Okay, I'm tired. It's time to go to bed. I guess I'll do a sleep stream just for yeah. Silly bitch. Yeah. Alright, I'm trying to find where he said the lens. Oh. I'm trying to find the... Is that Buggy? Is that Buggy? Oh. Is that Buggy? Is that Buggy? I guarantee it's Bug. I guarantee it's Bug. Bug heard me and he's whining for his for me. He's whining for me. Is that Bug? Oh my god, no, it's not Bug. Oh. Oh. Bug. Bug has... Wait, where's Bug? That's a mystery. Buggy? That's weird. I thought I heard him crying for me. Let's turn off the lights because it's like really time for bed. That's for damn sure. I wanted to go to bed hours ago, but sometimes you gotta. But like, holy shit. And that was like really good information. That was like really educational. I'm going to comb through all the information that I just learned and see if I can find, what if I just live stream my life? Like, would that get anywhere? No, it'd be a waste of time, I guarantee it. I'm trying to find the focal length. Where's the focal length? I can't find the focal length. Oh, nice. Found it. Alright, we're going to make a nice little clip of this. Oh, yeah, that cutie pie. Another cutie pie. Guys, I want to find cutie pies. I want to find cutie pies, okay? I need cutie pies in my life. Fuck. I need cutie pies in my life. I need cutie pies. Cutie pies. Cute popular boys. I'm rich. Now, we're gonna cut this clip down. Done. Save videos, new clip. People talk. People aren't talking. People are just watching. Why people talk? Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to bed soon. We're going to see this. 16 millimeter. Holy fuck. That is fast. Okay, we're going to need to shorten this clip up. Is that Buggy? I keep on hearing Bug, but it's... I went to check and he wasn't there. No one's talking. I'm all alone. Okay, 16. It's crazy, like... Holy fuck. It's crazy. Why are my comments not showing? Aw, that's sad. Why are you not showing? I want comments from boys and girls. From boys. From boys. From sexy boys. Alright. 16. Holy shit. Like, no wonder I thought my face was so thin. It's literally the front cam. It's the front cam making your face thin and long. Like, imagine, like, Lauren Gray's face. Imagine Lauren Gray's face, like, without... Because she's got such a short, wide face, so it's like... How short and wide, like... Do you see that, like, craziness? Holy shit. Oh, that's 200 millimeters. Damn. Yo, that's just some craziness. Like, when you see that 16 millimeter, like, this is why the front cam is making me, like, I literally, like, it's a lie. It's all a fucking lie. Like, Oh my god, the front cam is a damn lie. I don't look like so terrible. It's literally a lie. 'Cause, like, the far away lens is like so much more flattering. And it's just crazy, and it's like, ugh. I wanna log into my Snapchat. Like, yeah, I gotta log into my Snapchat and see all the interesting stuff. I'm so tired, but like, I'm pushing off sleep, but I should go to sleep now. I just wanna, but like, should I stay here with like 6 people and no one talking? Like, damn, I really got no one. Like, I got no one. I promise I'm talking to you, but my comments keeps getting deleted. IDK. Why? That's so weird. That's craziness. That's insane. What if there's like a ghost moderator who's like deleting shit or something? I don't know. It's weird. Guys, I want like boyfriend material in my Snapchat stat.
Fall things with some guy. Well, guess what? That guy on Tinder is not gonna text you and say, "Let's go."
No, I don't want that negativity in my life. I don't want that negativity in my life. Yeah, it looks a little funky.
Listen, I know.
No, it sucks. Like, I wish I had boys. Boys! I want boys. I gotta go because, like, no one's talking and keep me company, so I don't know if it's, like, something with this chat or something wrong with it, but I don't know why I can't see anyone's comments. Comment if anyone's here. I might have to start a new stream if it's deleting people's comments. Dude, I like feel so lonely right now. Like, I need a boyfriend in my life.
A dude without a bed frame, and every girl's dog.
No, I want like people to talk. Is it really deleting everyone's comments? I don't hear anyone. I guess I gotta come back on later when more people are on or something. But it's bedtime anyway. Okay, I'll talk to you guys another time.